much.
Hello. Hello. Maria, you got sound?
Words and
there we go. Okay. Hey, Andre, Deidre, Marcy, Debbie, Stephanie, Christopher, Ryan. Welcome, one. Welcome, all. It's been a good day. Except that the TBD Studios was supposed to have an open house here today. The CBD Studios is for sale. There were going to be people walking through and looking and possibly potentially bidding money to purchase this particular property, which then benefits the proprietors of the TBD Studio, which are generous enough, whom are generous enough to allow us to use the TBD Studios. Canceled. Delta variant. Ton of open houses across the United States. Ton of open houses here in the Los Angeles area. People are just like, I'm not going out right now. And I get that. I completely get that. Hi, at random. Why? Because the Delta variant, you can contract it in a second. You walk by somebody, pick it up. So, I'm happy in that I didn't have to leave TBD Studios all day. I did anyway. But anyway, I didn't have to leave and then come back and breathe in somebody's COVID. Oh, it's not that contagious. It is. It is. It's aerosolized, as we know from original COVID strain. This is essentially COVID-21, even though it was discovered in India in COVID-20. So it should be called, in 2020, it should be called COVID-20. But we should call this COVID-20 because soon enough, the Columbia or the Sigma Nu or the Phi Beta Kappa or whatever joke Matt Gaetz wants to make, soon enough, the next variant will come along, and it may be even more deadly than this one. Half the people in a number of hospitals are under 50 right now. Now, that's still, the older folks are still the ones who end up dying. But if you're 27, you don't, not always though. I should correct that. I should amend that. So you're probably going to survive, but you don't want to be in the hospital, especially when after 2 weeks in the hospital, you're going to have a bill of $75,000, even if you have insurance. It's all crazy time. Speaking of crazy time, Maria Bartiromo above me here. She looks so pretty like that. They should use that as her headshot. Hey, Marcy. Cindy, good to see you. So what I'm thinking we'll do here is we'll watch a little bit of some news footage. Breaking, Ron DeSantis just closed a deal on ordering 100 refrigerated trucks. It's done through a third party and will be arriving next weekend. Is that real, Christopher Ryan? Christopher Robin? Where are you getting your source? Christopher Ryan. Hey, there's 7 people watching right now. Woo! But that's just on YouTube. That doesn't include people on the Twitter and the Twitch and stuff like that. It's Sunday night. It's Spilling COVFEFE. There's nothing special going on. I'm going to play a little bit of Maria for you. I'm going to start on that, and I'm going to go turn on the AC, because as soon as I sat down here, I realized the sun is now beaming into this room as it's setting in the west, because here in Los Angeles, it sets in the west. I don't know where the sun sets in your neck of the woods, but in this particular neck of the woods, Ann says, hi, Kevin, just hot earbuds in, so can hear now? Yes, Ann? Maybe? Okay. So I'm going to play this and go run and turn on the AC here in the TBD studios. Hopefully not run into any looky-loos thinking that the open house wasn't canceled. And I'll be right back.
But first, this morning, super spreaders of panic and confusion. The CDC and President Biden with loaded words and backtracking on masks and COVID this week. Here's the first story we heard, and then the about face this past week.
Anyone who is fully vaccinated.
Okay, so this is May 13th.
Can participate in indoor and outdoor activities, large or small, without wearing a mask or physical distancing.
Yeah, that was May 13th. This is still May 13th. This is later. Hey, Rich, good to see you. Hasn't seen you in a while.
Based on the continuing downward trajectory of cases, the scientific data on the performance of our vaccines, and our understanding of how the virus spreads, that moment has come for those who are fully vaccinated.
The CDC.
Yeah, okay, so that was May 13th. Okay, May, June, July, 28th. Now we're 2.5 months later. Okay, so at that time, the CDC was saying the cases are going down. There's a downward trajectory. So it's okay for the unvaccinated to go without their masks. Because this virus, if you get it, don't worry about it. If you're vaccinated, you're not going to spread it to people. The viral load is 1/4 or less than if you don't have the vaccination. So you're good to go, everybody. Take your mask off. Let's have a party. Flash forward 2.5 months, the cases are not on a downward trajectory. The cases in Florida are on a 900% increased trajectory since the beginning of the month. And by month, I mean July. It's now August. Can you guys believe that? Happy my birth months, everybody. I'm raising a glass with my fin, but you can't see it. Hold on. See, I can't make my face come. I have difficulty making anybody come. So here's Biden on Thursday.
He recommends you wear a mask when you're in public and indoors, like work or in a grocery store.
What? That's so confusing. I'm supposed to wear a mask? Why? Why, Mr. President? I wish Biden would just tell us why that is.
That's true for both the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. Why?
Why?
Because even if you've been fully vaccinated and protected from severe illness from COVID-19, you could have the Delta variant in your system and spread it to someone who isn't vaccinated.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes total sense then. I mean, if the Delta allows us to spread to other people, I don't want to do that. I don't want to spread it to other people. I don't want to spread it to kids under 12 who can't get it. I don't want to spread it to the immunocompromised. By the way, my friends out there who are immunocompromised, keep to yourself. I know. We're constantly asking you to suffer and take the consequences for the rest of us. I get it. I understand completely. But you know what? A lot of Americans and people in general around the planet just be numbskulls. They do not understand that this is a team game we're playing. Someone's going to watch that and they're going to be like, oh, that guy who thinks he's a shark, he said it was a game. This is all a game to him. COVID's a game to him. Get vaccinated. Go.
So now, if you're vaccinated, you could be spreading it. Joining me right now is Wyoming Senator John Barrasso. He is the third-ranking member in the Senate Republican leadership. He is also a medical doctor. Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks very much.
Okay, Barrasso, you are not going to say that the science isn't there, right? Because now we know. For a day, it was all, the Republicans were all like, this is based on some study in a foreign country. And we all know that foreign countries don't have science. Largely based on a study in Massachusetts, which is a foreign country. You've probably heard their accents. It's wacky. They're like, I'm like, speak English, dude.
Much for being here. And of course, I want to get your thoughts on COVID in a moment, but I've got to start off.
Oh, hold on. Caroline's late. Does somebody want to catch her up? Somebody do a side chat with Caroline and make her know she's what's going on. Hey, Phyllis Hatch. By the way, just want to say thank you to Phyllis Hatch again. And all of you who have participated in the Books and Bricks fundraiser back on October 3rd of last year. The date has been set for this year. It's October 2nd. So we will be doing another fundraiser for Bix and Blobsy Bloobsubs. Booksandbricks.org. They raise money for sending children to school in Kenya, in Africa. The last year, of course, they've been raising money to somehow educate the kids at home. It's hard when a kid doesn't have a pencil to say, well, where's your laptop? Just use your laptop. So Phyllis and her family, they donated enough for an entire library. If we get to October 2nd, like I've said last year, if we get to October 2nd and you don't have any resources to donate, I'm telling you, put the don't into donate. What I need you to do is let people know in advance as we approach, and it's going to be here sooner than we realize. It's probably September 8th right now, and I don't even, like, we've missed my birthday. Trump is now president again. He's been reinstated. That's how quickly time moves. Anyway, booksandbricks.org. If you want to go donate now if you want, or save up those pennies and donate them on October 2nd this year.
By asking you, if COVID is this urgent threat that we face once again with the Delta variant, why are you and your colleagues negotiating another spending bonanza of $7 trillion on everything from senior care to a Green New Deal, education, and maybe, if you're lucky, roads and bridges?
If COVID is such a big deal, why are people wearing shoes? Why are you and your compatriots dealing with the Democrats when they're wearing shoes as well? What is with all the shoes? What about COVID?
Well, Chuck Schumer has said before.
Chuck Schumer? Yeah, and you people think that I'm nuts. Just listen, people. Open up your mind. It's not that bad, sheeple, if you just let it palpitate. Side note, if somebody in the chat room could look up what the word palpitate means for me, I would appreciate that. I've been using it a lot lately, and people seem to pay attention when I say it. I just want to make sure it means what I think it means. And by that, I don't know. I have no idea.
The August recess, he wants to pass two bills through Congress. One is the
August 13th is my birthday, and Trump gonna be president again on my birthday. But look up the reinstatement clause. It's Article 42, subsection 9er in the Constitution.
True infrastructure bipartisan bill that
we were just talking about COVID. Why are we talking about infrastructure now?
The people are working on. We still haven't seen it. It's going to be a big piece of legislation. But more concerning to me, Maria, is this massive spending bill, the liberal wish list. It is the largest spending bill in the history of the United States. And if this passes, people are going to suffer significantly. They're going to feel the heavy weight of the taxes, the ongoing inflation problems, and the debt. It is going to chew away, eat at people's paychecks. It's going to eat at their savings. People are already.
What I like is that several people have actually looked up palpitate. That Christopher Ryan used it in a sentence. No, Christopher Dudley, Christopher number 3, used it in a sentence. My pal Pitt ate an apple. It's true. Judges agree with that definition, or at least the usage of it in a sentence. Palpitate is to make your heart beat strong. When you fall in love with somebody, occasionally you get palpitations of the heart. So yes, thank you very much, everybody who looked that up. And said, Kevin makes my heart palpitate. That's actually a heart attack you're having. Okay, so I need you to hang up and call 911. Carolyn says, that's why I love the net. I'm old and love learning new things. So much to learn. Again, Chuck Schumer. First thing he says, first words out of his mouth. He knows. Butterflies can also be a heart attack. By the way, so you young ladies out there, one of the symptoms of female heart attacks, men tend to get, and I'm not a doctor, and I'm not playing on TV. I'm not playing one on TV right now. I might be playing a Secret Service agent on TV. That's another story. But as of right now, I'm not currently playing. No, you know what? I am playing a doctor on TV right now. Scratch that. Scratch that. Let's just say I'm not a doctor. I just remember I'm in like a public service announcement showing in Ventura County right now. So, in general, not a doctor. Ladies, if you feel like you're having a heart attack, just call 911. Just do it. One of the things, if you feel like you're dehydrated, you get dizzy, you got to sit down for a few minutes or whatever, and then you're okay. If a little while later or during that episode, you feel like you have a very sore jaw or back, or it's difficult to motion with my hands while I'm a shark, but just picture me holding my jaw. Okay, here, I'll help.
Right now, I'm holding my jaw. So if your jaw hurts,
or your back hurts, I can't. There. Ha! I did it. Yeah, whoa. Shark's gone. If your back hurts, or maybe if your elbow hurts, go to the hospital, because like your elbow shouldn't hurt. Anyway, basically the long and short of the story is, if you're a lady and you have any suspicion whatsoever that you're having a heart attack, call 911. Many women's heart attacks do not show any symptoms, if any, and then by the time they go to ask the lady, did you feel anything, it's too late. So, feel free to use the resources that you've been, that you've been paying for all these years. Stomach pain is another thing that can happen. Stephanie's correct. The PSA has no sharks in it. It's sad, too, because I'm like, you know what you guys need? You want to get people to stop vaping? Shark. Hey, I'm Sammy Shark. I'm a vapor. Right? And then you have like a dog, Polly the Pooch or something. And he's like, I know that me and my friends are cool too, but we never vape. And Sammy's all like, come on, kids, vape. And then Polly Pooch is all like, you know, if you stop vaping, you won't cough so much. And Sammy's like, oh God, I know. Oh, I could my whole mouth tastes like watermelon, and like my brain can feel the watermelon. Oh, what a terrible choice of a flavor. And then Polly Pooch is all like, just a quick question. How is it that you can cough underwater? And then in a commercial. Because at that point, we can't answer those questions. But it's making people think. And that's why we're here. That is our public service. Super producer Debbie used to vape. She quit smoking about 7 or 8 years ago. Did you stop vaping eventually too? Because you can transition from... So vaping is... I'm ragging on vaping. But vaping itself can be very, very handy when you're trying to quit cigarettes. That being said, because you can do it and then cut down the nicotine, and yeah, that's great. That being said, vaping itself has got all kinds of chemicals, so I wouldn't mess with it. But if you're trying to quit cigarettes, it's a good stepping stone, from what I hear. Again, not a shark, not a doctor.
Paying because of inflation, higher dollars.
Thank you, Christopher Dudley. You are far more entertaining. I liked your definition, or not your definition, but you're using it in a sentence. If I was ever in a spelling bee, or spelling shark, if you will, and I hope you do, I would take the word, and the word would be, for example, palpitate. Palpitate. And I would say, palpitate. Can you use it in a sentence? Certainly. Palpitate is a word. Plague used vaping to start marijuana. Yeah, that's also another stepping stone use. Christopher Ryan quit Newports and switched to vaping. I'm a vanilla custard kind of guy. I can see that. Being a chef as you are, I can totally see that.
For gas, housing, you name it. And
I don't know why, but it just cracked up the way he said, for gas, like he's just warning people right now for, gas. I think I went back too far. Let's watch it again.
Taxes, the ongoing inflation problems, and the debt. It is going to chew away, eat at people's paychecks. It's going to eat at their savings. People are already paying because of inflation. Higher dollars for gas, housing, you name it. And Maria, this is spending on top of the $6 trillion already spent in coronavirus relief. Plus, it is loaded with liberal policies, including amnesty for illegal immigrants.
I think we missed his gas.
It also includes a civilian climate corps. They want to hire 1 million people who would many be protesters against things like the Keystone XL pipeline. Look, Chuck Schumer says nobody goes home for August recess until these two things pass. I say...
Oh, yeah, Marcy sent us a picture. It is hard to show you guys. Here's Emperor Palpitate right there. It's hard to see, but there he is. Okay, thank you, Marcy.
I'm willing to stay in Washington until hell freezes over if I can stop these bad things happening to our country.
This is just incredible, Senator. Look, we've got to get into the...
Well, that's part of the whole climate change issue. Like, if hell freezes over, there's a problem.
The details of this bill and really what's in it. I know that it's almost 3,000 pages. I'm talking first the infrastructure bill. What's in the infrastructure bill? Tell us that.
Yes, there's actually a bipartisan bill.
He hasn't seen it, but okay. Yeah, tell us.
That folks are working on is as of last night, apparently it's at about 2,700 pieces. Bits and pieces are starting to come out. People are seeing a little bit of it. We're looking forward to seeing the whole thing.
2,700 pieces?
It really is supposed to focus on roads, bridges, ports, airports, broadband, things that people need and they want, and there is value in it. Republicans want to make sure that it's actually paid for, and we want to read it. This can't be the old Nancy Pelosi, first you have to pass it, then you get to find out what's in it. The best way to pay for this is to repurpose COVID relief funds that have already been committed but not yet spent. From the parts...
Okay, hold on.
That I've seen, I still have concerns about it, but the biggest problem is Nancy Pelosi has said she's going to handcuff...
Oh, okay. The whole Nancy Pelosi saying you have to pass it to find out what's in it, it's complete nonsense on the part of the Republicans, and Barrasso knows this. He's a senator. Here's the way legislation works. Let's say legislation passes in the House. It goes over to the Senate. They pass their own version of it. Then the two sides meet in conference, and they hammer out a final bill, which is then sent to the president. Okay? The leaders or staff, depending on every bill's a little bit different, they get together and they have a conference. So you don't know what's in a bill, the final version of a bill, until it's hammered out in conference. And that's what Nancy Pelosi was saying, and she's exactly accurate. That's the way the process works, and Tom Barrasso knows it. And I'm asking you right now, Senator, could you stop with that because it makes you look like a barasshole?
The two together, the real infrastructure with this spending monstrosity, which is reckless tax and spending.
So just to be clear, this is a bill almost 3,000 pages long, and you haven't seen much of it. You don't really know what's in there.
Well, we're still looking for the details of it. The parts I've seen that are concerning to me, and I'm from Wyoming, an energy state. Again, this is a bipartisan bill. I have concerns about the energy component, where the Democrats have insisted that the model for energy ought to be the California model. Well, Maria, in California, electricity prices are the highest in the country. They have their ongoing blackouts. They have this approach.
We do?
That I think is not the right one for America. We have gone from an energy dominant nation now under President Biden, we're becoming much more energy dependent, and I think it's the wrong direction to go.
All right. Look, it's just extraordinary to me that you really do not know what's in the infrastructure.
Yeah, there's Ann says if hell freezes over, Kevin has skates. I do, and I've always wanted to have the license plate frame. If hell freezes over, we'll play there too. Is it some? I think there's one that says we'll skate there too, something like that. But I think the other license plate frame I've always wanted is so many pucks, so little ice time. But license plate frame costs like $10. And I look at those and think, I've thought of 1,000 personalized plates that would be fun to have. And it's not worth the $85, $90 or whatever it is. And then you got to renew it every year and stuff like that. If it was raising money for charity, I might do it. Like in California, if you buy a license plate, you can get one that donates money to kids or animals or whatever.
Bill, that's a $1 trillion. There is common ground on that, and yet you don't really know the details of that one. And then you're negotiating, Nancy Pelosi wants to tie it to the other massive spending bill, which has plenty of gimmicks in it. Is it valued at $3.5 trillion or $5.5 trillion?
Oh, I think it's a much higher number. Everything I've read, Maria, it looks like it's going to be much higher than what the Democrats are admitting to at a time that we just can't afford it. You look at the runaway inflation we're living in.
It's not runaway inflation. Not at all. Some items are very high in terms of inflation. That's when you compare them to a year ago because we're in the middle of COVID. Yeah, airline tickets are one hell of a lot more right now because everyone wants to travel again. And last year, nobody wanted to travel anywhere. So you could get from LA to Fort Lauderdale for $13. Yes, when you factor in airline tickets and rental cars and hotel rooms and gas has gone up because of the demand for travel. And lumber's on its way back down again. Lumber is getting cheaper again. Inflation is not runaway inflation.
Now to put more spending on top of that makes it a lot worse. But Nancy Pelosi said, look, not a penny for roads or bridges or ports or airports unless and until the Senate passes this much bigger, as you say, $5 trillion bill. If this wasn't a negotiation with Nancy Pelosi, this was a hijacking. And this would be terrible for the country, for the economy. And she's not just a hijacker, she is also an arsonist because this is putting additional jet fuel on the flames of inflation, and we know who's going to be hurt by this. The people that are going to suffer under this are people living on a fixed income. There are seniors. There are people working, getting by paycheck to paycheck. All Americans are going to pay for this through inflation, through taxes. Joe Biden says, well, we're only going to raise taxes on businesses and some people making a lot of money. You cannot fund something this expensive without everybody in America getting hit.
It's just extraordinary. I want to go back to this in a moment because I want you to detail the kind of tax increases that are in that bill. But first, let's talk about the urgency at hand.
Okay, again, she hasn't seen the bill. He hasn't. He's said multiple times now he's seen some pieces of it, but Maria wants him to talk about the tax increases that he's seen in the bill. Hasn't seen it. Let's move on from Barrasso there. We got Stephen Miller coming up in a little while. Okay, here he is. So let's see what Maria says in the Rio Grande Valley. This is going to be about immigration. This is going to be a series of lies about 1 million immigrants coming into the country already. No, that's not true. All of the figures that you're hearing from the GOP are not true figures. For example, let me pull up some figures here. They're going to say last month in June, now July, but we don't have the July figures yet. In June, for example, let's see. There were the number of unaccompanied minors dropped by 12%. They're not going to mention that. They will not mention that. Let's see. This is April. That's why. Hold on. Let me pull up the June. So in June, the number dropped of unaccompanied minors. Let's see what happened in April. It dropped. Let's see. Enforcement numbers. 188,000 encounters. Let's just say 190,000. Okay? Those are encounters. Those are not people. A lot of those are the same people. In fact, 35% of the encounters last month were people that they'd encountered before. They weren't new people. So the figure is not 188,000 being let into the country. It's nowhere close to that. Why? Because 104,000 of them were immediately turned around and expelled. That's why. If you're an unaccompanied minor or you're a child with a family, we will let you in because you're a child. We're not going to separate families. We're not going to end up with thousands of orphans like we did in the Trump era. We're not going to do that. And get this, if you look at the real numbers, this is right from the CBP website. I'll show it to you, okay? So this is Department of Homeland Security, right? This is cbp.gov. If you just look up CBP June on Google, you'll see the June 2021 operational update, okay? I'm not making this up. Share this with your friends and family. Share this with Republicans. Okay, so here we go. Now, last year's an aberration because COVID. Everything was different last year. You have to look at things 2 years ago. Okay? So family units increased by 25% to 55,000, up from 44,000 in May, but still well below the peak of 88,000 in May of 2019. That's when Trump was in charge. In 2021, family unit encounters have consistently tracked below the 2019 encounters for each month of the year, and that holds steady on all of the numbers. There are fewer people coming across the border into the United States being allowed to stay in the United States than there were in 2019. Title 42, still in operation. Republicans keep saying, hey, Biden, don't end the Title 42. He hasn't. Title 42 basically says during a pandemic, you're not coming in. We're not having it. Okay? Now, do the Customs and Border Patrol test the immigrants coming in? No, not typically. They do very little testing. If somebody's symptomatic, they'll test them. Otherwise, they process people, the ones that are they're single adults, no kids. Sorry, you're going back. And last month, that was 105,000 cases. Get out of here. You're expelled. You're not coming in. Okay? So, those people are gone. Then, the people that are processed that are children, unaccompanied, or with their family, and not all families get in, by the way. 5,000 of them were rejected last month. Those people are then handed over to the Department of Homeland Security, the HHS, or otherwise another department, and it's those departments that test them for COVID. If they have COVID, they are isolated. They are not just, we don't care if you have COVID, we're going to fly you to Kansas. That's not how it works at all. Now, sometimes they're released to Catholic Charities or some other organization, and if they have COVID, they're supposed to isolate in hotels, but no one's keeping them in the hotels. And so some of them wander away from the hotels. But they also have the opportunity to seek hospital care, et cetera, et cetera. They're given the opportunity to have vaccines. What we're about to hear from Maria is complete nonsense. It is, every time. Anyway, if you don't believe me, look it up. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Department of Homeland Security. ICE does COVID testing as well.
Because while you are in this,
jam
session, the next 2 weeks, Schumer wants to get both of these major bills
through. Here we go.
Down. All that Biden had to do was to continue.
Okay, so this is Governor Greg Abbott from a couple of weeks ago.
Now it's getting worse because Biden is opening the floodgates for people who are coming.
Okay, what you see here? See up at the top here? This is the Sunday Morning Futures, which is the name of the show, graphic from July 25th. You can't see that, but I can see that. Here, I can make it go away, too. Here we go. So, and now there's a black screen there, so it's still in the way. Doesn't matter. Anyway, you can see something in Rio Grande Valley sector, but they're blocking it with their own graphic. Great job, Fox News. So you got January, February, March, April, May, June, and something. Something in the Rio Grande Valley sector. Encounters? With people? New encounters? New people? I don't know. But it's ERS. I'm guessing encounters.
From countries where there's an extremely low vaccination rate and there's an extremely high number of people coming across the border who do have COVID. And our goal is to continue.
Okay, so there was a graphic that just sped away suddenly. Hold on.
The border whatsoever. But now it's getting worse because Biden is opening the floodgates for people
he's not
who are coming from countries where there's an extremely low vaccination rate and there's an extremely high number of people coming across the border who do have.
Okay, here we go. Southwest land border encounters, 30,000 June 2020. That was during COVID. And 188,000. Okay, this is what we talked about. The number is actually way lower than that because those are just encounters. Those aren't the actual people. Because right now, we're just saying, go, get out. And those people many of them, up to 35% of them, are trying to cross somewhere else. They're being caught again, and we're saying, go, get out. Some people are trying 5 or 6 times to get in. Nope, you're not doing it. Title 42, you're out of here.
Have COVID. And our goal is to continue to arrest people coming across the border, but at the same time, surge more National Guard, more Texas Department of Public Safety officers to make sure that we are doing everything that we can as a state to secure the border.
Welcome back. That was Governor Greg Abbott on this program last weekend. The number of coronavirus cases among migrant detainees are now up 900% year over year in the Rio Grande Valley sector. That is
year over year since last July. Okay, and now we have the Delta variant. And in Florida, just this month, from the beginning of this month, not last year, from the beginning of this month until yesterday, COVID cases are up 900%. Now, what she's talking about is a graphic that Fox News obtained that said an increase of 500 or 900%. But that was actually obtained. It was an internal graphic that was sent out in an email trying to encourage border guards to take precautions because some of the immigrants had COVID. Again, the CBP doesn't test. They encounter, they process, and they hand them off to the HHS or whatever particular organization they're supposed to be handing them off to. And then they get tested by the next organization. But yes, year over year, get this is how it works. In, let's see, the first 2 weeks of July, okay, when detainees were symptomatic, they were tested by CBP, 135 detainees. Out of all those thousands, hundreds of thousands of people coming across the border, 135 tested positive for COVID, okay? Compared to the year before, when the CBP was not testing for COVID. Okay? So, the first 2 weeks of July this year, 135 compared to the first 2 weeks of July last year. What would that be? That would be about 20, 25. Before the CBP started testing en masse for COVID. And keep in mind, they still don't. They still do not. Why am I yelling? Because I'm upset.
just the ones who have been tested. In June, 39,000 got away.
Am I? Oh my God. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm so loud. Let me turn myself way down. Hold on. Compared to last year. Okay, that's better.
Surveillance. We don't know if they have COVID or not. Likely escaping into the interior of.
Okay, what?
Now up 900% year over year in the Rio Grande Valley sector. That is just the ones who have been tested. In June, 39,000 gotaways were seen on surveillance. We don't know if they have COVID or not. Likely escaping into the interior of our country. We don't know what their intentions are. Joining me right now is the architect of President Trump's immigration policy, Stephen Miller.
Stephen Miller
is the founder of America First Legal, a nonprofit that's fighting back against the Biden agenda. Stephen, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for being here this morning.
And Trump's token vampire. Hashtag diversity.
You heard Governor Abbott, and you know that COVID is coming across as...
Oh, Allison, we've been waiting for you, and we basically haven't done anything until right now. Hi, Lindsay. Okay, guys, Allison and Lindsay are here, so get the champagne.
As well as...
There's snacks in the back, by the way, and coffee.
As human trafficking and drugs. Your thoughts on where we are in this crisis at the border?
Yes, well, first of all, Governor Abbott is entirely correct. Under President Trump's courageous leadership, there were
courageous.
Functionally zero releases at the southwest border in 2020. In other words, if you crossed the border illegally, you were stopped, you were sent home.
That is not true.
Part of that strategy after the pandemic hit.
You were not sent home. You were sent, if not from Mexico, back to Mexico. As of right now, if you're stopped and you are not a child or a family with a child, you are sent back.
Was an authority known as Title 42, You may hear this a lot in the
And that's true, though. Trump was functionally zero.
news. It's a public health authority exercised by CDC, and in this case, carried out by Border Patrol and ICE. And the principle of it is very simple, which is that during a pandemic, if you come into this country, your very presence here, if you enter unlawfully, is a threat to our public health.
No. Anybody entering right now, unlawfully or not, is a threat to our public health if they have COVID.
Full stop. You go home. There's no
Right, and that's what's happening right now.
process, there's no procedure, there's no asylum.
Well, there's a process. It's called expulsion, and it's happening. How do you think is it a spell?
You are removed either to Mexico or to
Okay, so that's a process.
a third-party country or your home country. That's it. Because to take you in, to keep you here, to process you, to put you into the system, you will infect other migrants, you will infect agents, you will infect members of the community, you will infect ICE officers. If released, you will infect the country.
Okay, so I get it. We build a wall around Florida. I'm in it here. Let's do it. Let's do it, Stephen Miller.
There is no way to safely conduct illegal immigration.
Okay, so what happens constantly with Maria's show is she's constantly coughing and shuffling papers. She has a mic mute button. But like, why not use it? If I'm going to be making a ton of noise, I try and use the mic mute button. I do not have a button. I have to use my mouse and then go over. That's what I should do, is I should rig up some kind of button. Like, in radio stations, you're probably familiar with cough buttons. You think you're going to cough, you just press the button and your mic goes silent, cuts you off. She doesn't. Just listen in the background with Maria constantly. Papers and shuffling.
During a pandemic. In fact, it is the
Let's just go back.
You will infect agents. You will infect members of the community. You will infect ICE officers. If released, you will affect...
Right, but it's a hoax and it's no big deal and kids aren't in danger. So why worry about it, Stephen?
Infect the country. There is no way to safely conduct illegal immigration during a pandemic. In fact, it is the most unsafe form of travel. What President Biden has done is he has suspended the application of Title 42 for all...
No, he hasn't.
Minor aliens traveling alone, which is about the size of one American city per month, comprised entirely...
Really? How big of a city? Do you want to tell us how big the city is? Because every month that number changes. So yes, there are cities with like 10,000 people in them. There are cities with 300,000. There are cities with 12 million people in it. So do you want to give us a little more?
Of illegal alien minors, plus the vast majority of illegal alien families.
Right.
So these groups are entering the country, unrestricted, illegally, being resettled.
No, they're asking for asylum. That's not illegal. That's completely allowed under U.S. and international law. Going on.
By our border agencies and spreading the disease throughout the country.
No. They're tested. They are tested. They're released to HHS in terms of minors, into other agencies, sometimes NGOs. They are tested. So, no, they're not just being, oh, you've got COVID, get on the bus. We're flying you to Tallahassee.
One very important point about this.
Oh, good.
Even if you test illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
Without...
That's what I've been saying happening. Without what? Without what?
Title 42, you are not safe. Why is that?
What?
Because let's say you have 6,000 illegals show up one day at the border.
Okay, illegals. We're calling them illegal. Children. Can we just call them kids? Okay, 6,000 illegal kids.
And let's say 10% of them test positive, or 600 people.
Okay.
And let's pretend this administration quarantined those, which they're not doing.
They are doing it. They're doing it, and ICE is doing it. We have figures.
Let's just pretend that they did.
Okay, but we don't have to pretend. That's the great part. All I have to do is pretend I'm a shark, and you pretend you're a real human, and we're done. We don't have to pretend about the quarantining.
You release the balance of the 6,000. You don't think that there's a
5,400 at this point, yeah?
Huge number of those who are going to be positive the next day, the day after that?
Well, that's why we have the processing. That's why they're not released right away. But yes, we do have tests available. I mean, it was your guy who said anybody who wants a test can get a test, and that was in March of last year.
Testing just a one small snapshot in time. This virus can live in your system for 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, 10 days before you get that positive test. So even people who test negative, they've been living with other positive illegal aliens crammed into unsafe,
You're absolutely right. We need to lock the country down. Thank you, Stephen Miller.
sanitary conditions. Bottom line here, Maria, to bring this home.
Yeah, bring it home. Bring it home, Stephen Miller.
This administration is bringing variants into this country, bringing disease into this country.
Okay, so our international travelers. So, okay, we're going to lock everybody down. We're not going to have international travel. Go on, Stephen Miller.
Bringing COVID into this country for the sole purpose of
we're going to shut down trade. Okay, go on.
Facilitating law breaking.
So they're importing legally because of the asylum laws in order to break the laws. That's the sole purpose. What?
Is an attack on the health of every citizen.
What the health?
No wonder we're worried about putting masks.
My health is being attacked?
Back on, and the threat of the Delta variant. We've got to continue digging in because I want to know why. Stay with us. More with Stephen Miller after this.
Oh, good. There's more with Stephen Miller. Here's the thing. Yeah, if we got to be concerned about that, we got to put our masks on. I mean, unless what Stephen Miller is saying is a complete exaggeration, absolutely, I'm with you, Maria. We need to be wearing masks. Even the unvaccinated of us and the vaccinated of us. We all need to be wearing masks. Maria finally has something right.
Welcome back, and we are back with Stephen Miller, the founder of America First Legal. And Stephen, you've explained Title 42 really well, and we appreciate that because this is the crux of the really deterrent for people to come, and there isn't any deterrent right now. John Solomon is reporting that there is a bipartisan call for Biden to appoint a new board.
Here's what she said. Thank you very much for explaining Title 42 because it's a deterrent, but there isn't any deterrent right now. That's complete bullshit. Title 42 is active. Title 42 is completely active. But it doesn't exist right now. I mean, how? She used to kind of seem like a real reporter. And then her brain fell out at some point.
Are. Apparently, Kamala Harris being criticized as she continues to search for the root causes of this illegal migration. Representative Henry Cuellar and Senator Lindsey Graham are asking President Biden to appoint former Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson to a special executive position to manage the border crisis, according to John Solomon. Your thoughts on what Kamala Harris is doing in the face of all of this?
Yes, well, for one thing, I think it's pretty clear that the vice president's political ambitions are effectively destroyed as a result of her administration of the border. But it's important for people to keep in mind that she is not the one making these policy decisions. These policy decisions are being made by the faceless radicals throughout the Biden administration who are running the show. Their White House staff, their DHS staff, most of whom will never be known to the American public, who are making these truly, truly deadly decisions that are resulting in drugs, disease, crime, as well as just large-scale illegal immigration that drains our finances and that destroys American jobs and wealth. And so I completely agree the vice president should be replaced. But ultimately, she's only being used as the fall person behind a scheme that staff has put together.
Yeah, and just to outline that briefly for you, free radicals are little things that float around in your body, and they are antioxidants. So when you hear about someone talking about free radicals, that's what that is. The reason they're antioxidants is because they all carry COVID, and they're trying to infect you at the border, and that's going to cause the United States to run out of oxygen. Okay? They're very anti-oxygen. They don't want anyone breathing oxygen. It's all part of the Green New Deal. But when you hear about free radicals, that's what they are.
Well, look, at the same time, you have crises at the border blowing up with regard to illicit narcotics, human trafficking, COVID cases, and yet look what we're focused on as a country and in Congress. They're debating literally $7 trillion of new spending, and you've got the Department of Justice.
Every time she says it, it gets more.
Sending warning shots out to states saying, don't even think about doing an audit of election 2020. We spoke with Blake Masters here on this program last week. He is running for the Senate seat in Arizona. Here's what he said about what's taking place right now in his home state.
I'm glad we're auditing. You know, I come from the business world. We audit businesses every year, all the time, as a routine good practice. And that's when we don't even suspect anything is amiss. And so this idea that so many people from the journalist class, you know, from the Democratic establishment, even from the Republican
journalist class
establishment in Arizona, they're reflexively anti-audit. They were anti-audit before it even got started, which makes no sense because like tens of millions of Americans, probably even 100 million Americans and some Joe Biden voters, if we're being honest, I look at what happened in the 2020
Are we being honest?
election, and I see a lot of problems. They want to say it was a perfect election with the perfect result. Maybe, but it didn't look perfect.
Well,
okay, well, the audit happened, and it was supposed to be done, and it's still happening. And on the first day, they were using blue ink pens on the ballots, which is illegal. But okay.
The DOJ doesn't agree. They're saying to states, tread carefully in auditing elections, especially 2020, Stephen.
Yes, well, first of all, on the first point that you made, it is insane to me that we are having a conversation in Washington, D.C. right now about infrastructure when the board...
Yeah. Why are we having a conversation about infrastructure? Yes, the bridges and the roads and the railways of this country are crumbling, that they are dangerous. The United States Society of Civil Engineers has given our infrastructure a D. And in some cases, Fs on bridges. Bridges are being closed because they're in such disrepair. Bridges are collapsing in other situations. Bridges are shutting down interstates. Bridges are putting a halt to transportation of goods and services. But that's insane to want to fix them. Absolutely insane.
The border is melting down before our very eyes, and the sovereignty of
the border's melting down? It is hot.
This country is being wiped out. The Republican conference ought to have the position that there will be no negotiations with this president over any of his signature policy priorities
paper,
as long as he is failing in his fundamental constitutional obligation to protect this nation's borders. In fact, doing the opposite, which is working assiduously through his radical staff to...
Assiduously, can you use it in a sentence? No. Can I get a definition? No. Assiduously. A space at beep.
Eliminate, erase, and invalidate our nation's borders. On the point...
Yeah, Peter Thiel is a PayPal founder, and he supports Trump, and he's a big guy who does that. And he's really, really rich. Which is why, if you don't want to use PayPal to send me some money, send it via the Cash App or Venmo. I think actually PayPal bought Venmo. I don't even know. Become a patron. I don't think Patreon's owned by Peter Thiel.
About the election audit. Anybody who opposes a forensic audit of the election is in favor of fraud. It's that simple. You cannot have an election.
Simple. We've had election audits. The ballots have been counted multiple times. Not a single case of mass fraud has been found in any of the 50 states or 7 territories. So, no. I'm not in favor of voter fraud.
Not ever, in which people can mail thousands of ballots in, and there's no effort to link the ballot itself with an actual registered...
Again, with the paper.
Lawfully registered voter.
No, Of course there is. When the envelope comes in, it's checked against voter registration. You fucking moron. Oh my God, they don't just get an envelope with a ballot and throw it on a pile. Oh, let's take the ballot out and throw it on. No, these things are checked. Oh, is this a real voter? Great, let's put that into the system. Well, here's a piece of paper with some crayon on it. Let's count it. What? He knows how to put words together. He's ahead of Kevin McCarthy in that respect. But why? Why, Stephen Miller? Why lie like this? If you love this country, why lie to the citizenry over and over and over and over again? Allison, some states don't check signatures. So, your state may check the signatures, may verify the signatures. Some states don't. About a third of the country doesn't. The signatures don't have to match. Some of the other states, they don't have to match exactly. The trouble is people's signatures change over time. Have a stroke and see what your signature looks like. And look, just so you know, I'm not suggesting anybody actually have a stroke.
Just nameless ballots disconnected entirely from any...
No, there are no nameless ballots disconnected entirely. You don't get a ballot unless you're registered to vote.
A real verified voter.
Yeah, and by the way, big tech is right there.
You don't just... They're not just sent out randomly. They're sent to people's addresses.
There with the DOJ. Let me just tell you that earlier this week, Twitter suspended all Maricopa County audit accounts for, quote-unquote, violating Twitter rules as a...
Yep, that's Twitter. They're a private corporation. They can do what they want.
Forensic audit approved by the Arizona Senate winds down in the state. They're keeping you off of social media, Stephen.
Big tech election interference is a crisis in this country. We saw it in the form of suppressing the very, very severe allegations against Hunter Biden. We saw it in the form of Facebook spending... Well,
again, what do any of the Hunter Biden allegations matter? What do they matter to the American people? He's not the president. He's not the vice president. He's the president's kid. It doesn't affect policy. Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson confirmed that with an 83-page report.
I should say Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook spending hundreds of millions of dollars to help administer our country's...
Hundreds of millions of dollars. You guys ever watch Kids in the Hall? He speaks like Bruce when Bruce is playing a little kid. In England, everyone only has one spoon, and when you die, you can inherit a spoon, and they have spoon millionaires.
Elections, and we see it.
And he's looking like he's confused by this. Like, just watch his face. He closes one eye slightly, and he's like, and everyone only has one spoon? And they have a lot of elections?
Severe allegations against Hunter Biden. We saw it in the form of Facebook spending, well, I should say Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook spending hundreds of millions of dollars. To help administer our country's elections.
To help administer our country's elections? And you can have voter millionaires.
And we see it in the continued form of suppression about invaluable election security measures like audits, like...
What is he looking at? Does he have this written down to his right? He keeps glancing to his right like he has a teleprompter. He's doing it right now! See? He's not looking at the camera. Is he reading this?
Like voter ID and reform...
Does he have a monitor like I do? Does he have a second monitor?
Reforming the mail-in ballot system in this country. So we should all be terrified about the prospect that a handful of Silicon Valley billionaires can control how we administer, operate, and talk about elections in this country.
I'm not terrified. Nobody controls me. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm demonetized on YouTube right now. He's checking for sundown when he can go outside, says Marcy. It's the morning, too. That's the sad part. I think he's actually checking at this point. He's checking for sun up.
Stephen, it's great to get your insights, as always, on all.
It's get your insights.
All of this. We will keep a spotlight on it. Thank you very much as you pursue your lawsuit.
All right, let's check this out. So I was thinking, oh God, Ben Carson, I can't do it. It's too late at night. Maybe in the morning I could handle it. You know what? I would have gone right back to sleep. I do not know who this is, but he's a big man. So let's just check in and see who this is.
Alibaba and Tencent to rise.
Okay, this is about China. Not interested. Let's see what else we got to watch here. So here's what I was thinking, kids. If some of you wanted to do a Google Meet, we could do that. If I don't know if anybody interested in talking about how their weekend was or whatever, it won't be broadcast, but we could do it if you're in our little Twitter chat room or your Patreon. We could just have a quick meet and greet, and people, if they want to talk about their weekend or what's going on in their life, we could do that. Let's see what we got new in the library. We can't watch the Olympics, obviously. More Olympics, no Olympics. We can't watch 60 Minutes. We'll get tagged in a second for that. What? There's nothing else going on in here? The Next Revolution was Steve Hilton. He's always wrong about everything. What about, do they still have Life, Liberty, and Levin? Does he still have a show? Hold on, let's see when that was. Oh, there, it's right here. Hold on, kids. Let's go here, and let's go, because Jim Jordan was supposed to be on it. At least somebody tweeted that. There he is. Hold on, let's find him.
To do that. House, what was done to the White House left.
Okay, so this is inevitably going to be about how the insurrection was not an insurrection, and there were so many other bad things that have happened to the Capitol. And Jim Jordan will say something about, like, they have to talk about this. They can't talk about the border. They can't talk about inflation. They can't talk about all these other terrible things. This country's falling apart.
At Park, billions and billions of dollars of damage. Maybe 15 people killed all through the summer, all through that period.
All through the summer. Maybe 15 people killed. You don't know. This is your whole modus operandi. You don't know how many people were killed in the riots?
Period of time.
All right, after this, LP's down, and I'll talk to LP any chance I get because I'll be honest, I am completely infatuated with BB, LP's dog. So if you want to join us, talk to a patron or find somebody in the chat room and have them invite you into the Twitter room or whatever. I'm not in charge of that. I'm not in charge of the Twitter chat room. On Twitter, you can find me at KevinLeeFather. So if you're interested in joining us, you can do so by on Twitter. Send me a quick note, not necessarily a DM. If I don't follow you, you can't send me a DM. But just go to my Twitter page at KevinLeeFather and just write something with me in the name, and I'll check my mentions after we're done with the broadcast. I'll start up a meet, and then we'll just meet for a few minutes.
I do not support breaching any government building. I spent my life standing up for law enforcement. I was Chief of Staff to the Attorney General of the United States in the Reagan administration. But I know a political motive when I see one. And I know a phony committee hearing when I see one, when they don't want to get to all the facts.
Oh, okay, but you just said you're not in favor of breaching a government building. A government building was breached, baby.
But when they're promoting politics. What's your take on this, sir?
You're exactly right. We're the ones who've been consistent. We condemned the violence on January 6th, and we condemned all the violence last summer.
Great. Well, then we should have an investigation and find out what caused it.
Democrats are the ones who've been inconsistent. You're right. This is all about politics. You know, look, I'm like you. The Capitol Hill police risked their lives that day. They do it every day to protect us, protect visitors, protect the staff.
Do you want to tell Laura Ingraham about that? Do you want to tell your buddy Dinesh D'Souza about that? Because he just says that they're actors. Laura Ingraham gave out awards.
Everyone on Capitol Hill, God bless them, and God bless all the other law enforcement around the country who do that every single day. But it'd be nice if the Democrats had some consistency here. They don't, because everything for them is about politics. This is now about, obviously about politics. They don't want to, I said this last week.
And send me a tweet.
They don't want to address one of.
You know what? I'll put it up on Twitter. What the hell? We'll see who we catch here. It won't be broadcast, so if someone comes in as being a jerk, well, then we'll just... Oh, hi, speaking of jerks, we'll kick him out. So we'll have a Google Meet. I'll post it on the Twitters. While we're watching, I'll set it up right now.
The fundamental questions, which is why wasn't there a better security posture that day? Press reports indicate that Nancy Pelosi vetoed having the National Guard here before the January 6th, before that day. And then press reports also indicate on that day, she hesitated in calling them up. Now, why would that be, Mark? Why would she hesitate to call up the National Guard? Why not have the National Guard here? If those press reports are accurate, we should get to the bottom of that. But what could be the reason? My hunch is what we saw all last summer. Is we saw the Democrats talk about defunding the police. We saw them actually defund the police. We saw Democrats, the rioters and looters who attacked law enforcement, who destroyed small businesses, who attacked innocent civilians. We saw Democrats raise money to bail them out of jail. So
no, that was for protesters. There's protesters, which 98% of the people were just protesters. There were 2% of the protests resulted in some kind of violence. 2%. So, and that's studies from Harvard, that studies, I believe, from Columbia. I'd have to go look it up right now. But anyway, serious studies. I mean, you can look at the Conservative Christian Science Monitor. They'll confirm it.
With that backdrop, it's kind of hard to say, hey, we need more of you here on January 6th to protect the Capitol grounds and protect the personnel inside the Capitol. So I don't think they want to get to that question. I think that's why they kicked Mr. Banks and me, why the speaker kicked us off, or I guess not kicked us off, didn't even let us go.
So I just posted the Meet. So if you want to meet and greet there, click on that, get Google Meet on your phone. You can also get it, of course, it's better on your laptop or your PC or your MacBook, if you're special like Marcy, or whatever you want. You can click on that. I'll let you in eventually. Just be patient, and you don't have to go to it until the broadcast's over, because I can't really do anything with the meeting until the broadcast's over. We'll finish up with Jim here in a second. I just want to get to the part where he's going to say something like, and they have to talk about this because they can't talk about anything else because inflation and gas.
Go on to the committee.
And Congressman Jordan, did she not call federal law enforcement in Portland stormtroopers? Did James Clyburn not call federal law enforcement in Portland stormtroopers? Were they not attacking a federal courthouse which had federal employees night after night for 3 months?
And Congressperson Jordan, did you not call many members of law enforcement for the United States? Did you not call them deep state? Did you not call them radical liberals? Did you not call them deep state operatives intent on doing nothing but attacking President Trump? Did you not do that?
Molotov cocktails and worse. Did they not attack the White House and harm over 50 Secret Service personnel and the Park Police? Did they not burn a church almost to the ground, a historic church? Did the media not?
They did not. It was not burned almost to the ground. A fire was set in the basement. It did not burn almost to the ground. You can go online and look for pictures.
Come to their defense every step of the way? Did they not paint Black Lives Matter initials from one boulevard?
Thank you, Ann. Will you not be a material witness, Congressperson Jordan?
In one city to another city? Did Nancy Pelosi ever speak out in defense of the cops and against violence at that time, sir?
No,
Yes, she did. Multiple times. She even said, when it comes to defunding the police, we're not going to be having any part of that. The funding of the police is a local issue anyway. It's not our job. Congress is not going to get involved in defunding the police. She said that. We have video of it. In fact, I can probably... Let's see. I can show you guys audition videos later. Let's see if I have a... I think it's the only thing I've ever really recorded from Pelosi. Not a giant Pelosi fan, but yeah, here we go. Let's see if it translates.
Funding of police is a local matter, as you know. From the standpoint of our legislation, we're not going to that place. What we're doing is talking about how we change policy to make our policing more just and that. There's some issues that we ask police to do, like mental health issues or policing in schools and all the rest, that perhaps we can shuffle some of that money around. But those are local decisions.
Yeah.
Funding of police is a local matter.
Yeah, there she goes. So, I mean, I don't know how much more you want to see of that, but that's what she said. This is last June, I think she said that. I think the date was even on there. I usually date the videos when I find them like that. And says, will you be a material witness, Congressperson Jordan? I think I read that already. I feel like I read that already. And what I feel matters. It's valid. Don't invalidate my feelings.
Democrat members of Congress, while there was unrest in the street, Democrat members of Congress said, we need more unrest in the street. I mean, while it's actually happening.
No, they did not.
So there was over 100-day siege. Frankly, it's never really stopped in Portland, Oregon. So no, that all took place. And then just last weekend, I think there were 12 people murdered in Chicago, in one of our major, in one city alone, just that weekend. So part of this is also, Mark, I think part of this, this January 6th committee, I think part of it is they have nothing else to talk about. I mean,
here it is.
They can't talk about crime in the streets, driven by everything they said about the police.
What about inflation? Can they talk about the border?
They did the police last week. They can't talk about that. They can't talk about the crisis on our southern border. Yeah. And they certainly can't talk about the fact that the price of every good and service is increasing dramatically. So,
all right, you're nothing and predictable. Okay, kids, I think that's enough broadcast for right now. What we're going to do is we're going to have a little meet, a private meet. It's not going to be broadcast anywhere. If you'd like to join us in our meet on the Googles, I'll post the stream here again. I'll be letting people in just a second. I gotta find the live stream. Here it is. There we go. I'll post that in the Twitter chat room as well. And the meeting's already active, and I'll start letting people in sort of as soon as this broadcast is done. So if you want to join us and just talk about your day, your weekend, or whatever, you're welcome to come along. And if any jerks happen to come in and say, you know what, I'm not going to post it on Twitter. I'll just post it here in the room. So if you've been watching, there's the post. And I'll post it in the Twitter, the share room in just a second here as well. There it is. It's now in the Twitter room. Click on that. We'll let you in. You can show yourself on camera or not show yourself on camera. It's just going to be a safe space to watch illegal videos, snuff films. Oh, there's the first person asking to come in. Allison, good night. Shelly, good night. Ann, good night. Unless you come in at random, I guess you're probably coming in. And hopefully, I'd love to see you. Mostly because we want to see Rusty. Rusty is at Random's dog, and we all have a serious crush on Rusty. He's the cutest guy. He's got the little ear that just hangs up. You should join. You should come and see us. Come and join the window just for watching Rusty. Okay, guys. Everybody else, if you're watching this delayed, obviously the meeting's probably already over. Have yourself a great day. Have yourself a great rest of your weekend. Have yourself a great tomorrow. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. And be good to me.